Hey, hunting family, you are tuning into the Tracks and Tackle podcast, brought to you by Mentzer Outdoors.
Hey there, hunting family. As we wind down 2024 and we gear up for an exciting new year, I want to take a moment to reflect on all the incredible stories, experiences, and lessons we've shared on Tracks and Tackle this year. We've come a long way since our first episode in July of 2023, when we wrapped up that first year with an episode of sound bites from our first few months of podcasting. It was those early days that laid the groundwork for what has been an incredible journey. Our growth is deeply connected to all who have partnered with the show, and in an effort to memorialize 2024, I want to recap the year that was. Today, we will revisit the highlights of 2024 month by month, and then we're going to talk about what's on the horizon for 2025. So grab a cup of coffee or settle in on your drive, and let's take a walk down memory lane. In January, we started the year strong by diving into the art of European mounts. Brady and I shared stories from our 2023 deer season, and we discussed how these mounts not only preserve a hunter's memory, but they also honor the animal. It was a fantastic way to kick off the year and reflect on a successful rifle season. In February, we turned our focus to preserving trophies in a different way, the art of tanning deer hides. We explored how this age-old craft can be a meaningful way to commemorate your hunts. Yeah, we once I got we got tan applied to it, and it was broken down a little bit. I took a hand sander to it and just did like a final buffing, on the product. And here, if I wanted to, I'm going to break this out.
Hey,
This is the final product, if you can see, and it's pretty flimsy, it's pretty, soft. It's going to look really good on your wall. So right. That's the money shot right there. We'll get this thing over to you, get it in your man cave. And I'm excited to see it hanging on the wall for you. Later in the month, we also attended the Great American Outdoor Show, and we shared a recap of that incredible experience, including the connections we made and the innovations that we discovered. As winter melted into spring, we shifted our attention to hunting antler sheds. Shed hunting is an art of its own and a perfect off-season activity for any hunter. March also brought us a long overdue moment when we reconnected with Matt Mentzer. Together, we reminisced about the good old days, learning the art of hunting together as young men, and sharing early adventures with the audience.
so we got it narrowed down to a woodlot that we've never hunted as a group, but we have permission to go in because we're sure this deer is in there. So Saturday morning, we saddle up. This is what we're going to do, guys. We can go to this point. Hopefully we find her this deer. This is the last stitch effort. She didn't even come hunting at this point. Like, she's so beside herself. She's ready to quit.
She was done.
She was done. She's wore out. She's not even coming hunting. She's not even getting her clothes on. And it wasn't a very large group of us that day, but so we're going over to this pine thicket, and the pine thicket's not even there anymore. It's been clear cut. It's gone.
Let me just interject one thing, because it had snowed and then like freezing rain overnight.
Yeah.
And so like you had a good crust of ice on top of the snow. And so when we were walking, I mean, you were crunching through the ice. So
Yeah.
It wasn't like we had a good
We weren't sneaking up on nothing.
They're stealth tactics.
Yes.
Yeah. But we go on this hillside. You know, we don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen. So we put some flank, and it's kind of like a gully, hollow, ravine, whatever you want to call it, in between some orchards. We put some flankers up in the orchards, and there's a road down through the center. We got guy on the road, we got guys on the outside, and there's a couple of us walking through the pine thicket. We get to the end. I mean, we are we're to that, like, everyone is, the balloon is deflated kind of thing. Everyone is just like, yeah, man, I can't believe it. This thing, it got us. Like, after everything, we lost it. And there it stands. It jumps up literally right beside me.
I remember because I was next to you, and you're like, I see it.
I remember yelling, I see it. I pull up, shoot, take the hair off the top of its back. It falls down, gets up, and starts running back. Now we're running through the woods. We head the deer off. I don't care what anyone says to this day.
You're the one person that'll vouch for it.
Yes.
That's the real reason why we got you.
The leap for leap, and it's the story that it was all day. Leap for leap, bound for bound. We run that deer down and kill it.
In March, we also touched on butchering and field-to-table concepts before ending the month with an exciting first interview with Chris Bookman from 3B Outdoors. We were also thrilled to attend 3B's annual spring game dinner that Chris invited us to, and surely it did not disappoint. Spring turkey season took center stage in April. Justin Barrick from one of our sponsors, Interstate Garage Doors, joined us to share his passion for turkey hunting and mentoring the next generation of hunters. His enthusiasm for teaching kids about the outdoors really resonated with our community. In fact, let me pause for a moment to plug Interstate Garage Doors. They have been an incredible sponsor to this podcast from early on, and I'd like to take a moment to thank them for their support. If you need a garage door service or installation, please consider Interstate. Surely somebody in our audience needs a new garage door, so go ahead and buy your doors through Interstate so they know their ad money is well spent. You won't regret choosing them. We followed up that episode with another episode, a fascinating interview featuring Jason and Ethan Rohr, who taught us about crafting your own turkey calls. I personally learned a lot during that conversation about the subculture of crafting your own calls.
Oh, absolutely. So, it just, he started teaching me how to do that. And then he showed me how to put, I have some examples here.
Yeah, break them out, man.
There's 3-piece bone call, just like what's in your arm, same things in a turkey.
So fascinating to look at because, like we said, just such an art just to realize that, you're going to process that.
Yeah. And like I said, I think I look back as, like I was saying earlier about back in the Indian times, not that I'm no Indian, but I'm fascinated with all the history about, anything that I can find out about history wise when it comes to that. Like I've seen guys have pictures of wing bones they dug up, like artifacts that now they're not, of course, together. There's like maybe the midsection or like the end bell, but just to see that stuff is like just fascinating. And then this one is an example of a what they call a Jordan style call. It's just 2 pieces of cane, pieced together, used 243 casing.
Let's see that.
And then a mouthpiece, which I use snow goose bone, which it makes just as good of a mouthpiece, if not better, in my opinion, than a regular hen bone. And these are more, I can get more of them than I can a hen bone.
Right.
I mean, a lot of these guys down south, they can't even get hen bones because they're not really allowed to shoot hens in the fall like we are here in Pennsylvania.
Right.
May saw us shift gears slightly as we explored social media strategies with YouTuber Ted Polanowski from Off the Hook Outdoors. Ted's expertise gave us a fresh perspective on leveraging digital platforms to grow our outdoor community and inspire others.
really thinking the situation out and what you put on camera. I mean, because there's trickery on these TV shows. They film for a couple months before they have a TV show. YouTube, you're filming it and you either put it out there or you don't if you don't
That's
have
right.
the footage. And my style is, if I don't catch a fish during my segment or my video that I'm making, if you don't see me physically catching a fish with YouTube, nowadays they want action. They want to see all you guys shoot deer. If they could watch a video, of 10 minutes of kill shots on deer and that's it, that's what they want to watch. Well, I wanted to put in my videos the teaching and like how the steps on how to get to that point. So if I'm out fishing and I'm not catching stuff, I explain to the camera, hey, weather, water temperature, water clarity, lures, what the fish are doing. I try to get all that information in that video if I'm not catching fish, because that's an information learning experience. Hey, it don't happen like on TV all the time. You don't catch 100 fish and the biggest fish in the lake every time you go out there. So my style is, it is what it is. This is how it really happened.
Ted's a great guy, and he produces a real quality YouTube channel, so be sure to follow Off the Hook Outdoors and tell him the boys at Tracks and Tackle sent you. In June, we took the time to celebrate fathers and their role in fostering a love for the outdoors. Our Father's Day episode was a heartfelt tribute to dads everywhere who passed down the hunting traditions and values to their children. We had Justin Barrick return to the show in July for another insightful conversation, this time focusing on game recipes and prepping for the upcoming hunting season. His energy and expertise made this episode a listener favorite.
Carnitas or something like that. I don't know what it is, but crock pot with the legs and thighs for like 9 hours or something like that. But they cook through stages. Like, you got to get through the rubbery. Like, there's a rubbery stage, and that's the problem. Like, you think you cook them long enough, they're still rubbery. That's why you chew on it. You never want to chew on it again. But you got to cook it. You got to keep going. You're not there yet. First time we made it, because I was like, I don't like throwing stuff away. There's got to find a way.
Yep.
So put in the crock pot, 8 hours, not done. 8.5, not done. 9, not done. 9 hours and 30 minutes, like it started to finally, but then what we do is we shred the meat off the bone, all the thighs and legs, and then dust it with flour and just flash fry it real quick in some oil.
Okay.
And then I don't know what recipe they do. What we do is we'll make rice. We eat a lot of rice, and then vegetables, cut up vegetables, peppers, onions, mushrooms, and stuff. And like the girls will just eat it right, broccoli, make some broccoli. They eat it right like that. Now I like Chinese food, so I'll make like an orange chicken sauce.
Oh, that's
put it
big
over
good.
top of the rice and the meat. And it's fantastic.
In August, we welcomed an old friend of mine, Brett Garrison from Alpine Honeybee Farm. Brett shared about his journey westward to Montana and his expertise in beekeeping, as well as his adventures hunting elk and other big game out west. Brett's perspective reminded us of the interconnectedness of nature and the role that we play in its stewardship. His stories were a unique blend of conservation and adventure.
And one day I was just like, you know what? I want to get a guide's license and guide hunt. Just boom, there's an epiphany. And I talked to my dad and I'm like, this is something I would really love to do. Would you mind just kind of connecting me with these guys? Because they were friends of his and I had never really met them. He had hunted with them, what have you. So get a hold of them and, they're like, yeah, we'll give you a try if you want to come out here, and we'll get you a guide's license as long as you make it through summer. And part of kind of the prerequisite was all summer they do horse camps for kids, and so they bring kids up from Boise, which is in the valley, kind of the city. So they're bringing city kids up to the country, teach them everything about horses, how to ride, how to saddle. They stay in wall tents, you're out there and, in the national forest. So it's really cool setup. And, you survive these kids, you learn how to ride, you learn the land, and we'll get you guides license. So I show up, this is like May, and this is 2008. Show up in May and had ridden a horse once in my life, but I was so young that was kind of, when I had ridden, didn't remember anything about it, or it was, just a trail ride where they sit you on the horse and you follow around. So kind of had to start from scratch with the horses, and made it through the summer, learned everything, learned, of course, the area by riding horses with all these kids and, doing pack trips and this and that. And then September rolls around and start guiding hunts, of course, archery, and then into rifle that year. And I didn't go back to PA until would have been about November. So lived in a wall tent from May through November that year out there in Idaho, and that planted the seed. After that, it was inevitable. I'm like, I'm going to be somewhere out here, and just don't know when or how it's going to happen. But that's in a nutshell how I ended up out west here.
September was packed with excitement. We collaborated with Mike Beecham from Mountain and Marsh Podcast, diving into shared outdoor passions. Be sure to look him up and give his podcast a listen at Mountain and Marsh.
Yeah. So, as far as where we do a lot of our hunting in Western PA, and so it's anything but flat.
I like it up there.
And there's some nice genetics, in the whitetails out there. But you gotta, sort of like you said, you gotta travel to get to the spot where there's, because it's still populated. And that's the thing with like South Pennsylvania, South Central Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
It's too developed and too populated. But once you get up, northern PA, northwestern PA, even northeastern, I guess, you got a lot less population, and those state forests are really wide
vast,
open.
Yeah. And one thing that it bugs the heck out of me, I've talked about on the podcast before, and I don't know if you guys saw the buck I killed last year with my bow, but that was at my house in Gettysburg. And I own 4 acres. I have about 2.5 acres of woods, enough to hunt. And when a buddy of mine found out that I was moving to Pennsylvania, he said, there's no big deer in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, there's big deer actually everywhere. Like, they just have to get old enough to get big.
You got to let them go.
And so what you're getting at is correct. There's too many people in South Central Pennsylvania to where, because it's a lot of overdevelopment and just tracts of farmland and small parcels of public land, the deer get eaten up because the hunters are always in there. They're always stressing them. They're always putting pressure on them. I killed a 4.5-year-old 10-point last year, off the ground with my bow at my own house. That is beautiful. He's probably 125, 130 with deductions. And there was a bigger buck running with him. And every year, because I live within Battlefield,
right,
there are these bucks that do get that old.
Yeah,
and
it makes sense.
I see them, and I know that there are these big mature. They're not just mature deer; they're big mature whitetails in my area. And so when people say that, I don't even really do it anymore. But I used to be like, check out my trail cam pictures.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, whatever, man. Just keep believing that, because it's everywhere. I mean, we have pictures of deer just below the PA line on a lease in Maryland that I hunt. Last year, the year before, and right now, like trophy class whitetails.
Yeah.
And but we've managed for a long time. But even that area is heavily pressured, and they're still getting that big. If you're okay with, like, if everybody was like, I know it's overpopulated with people here, but if we all just, I guarantee you, if you gave it 2 years off, you went into the woods around, you'd be like, oh,
yeah.
Later that month, we heard an unforgettable tale from Perry, old Snakebite Hartman, who joined us to recount his harrowing timber rattlesnake bite and survival story. His tale was both gripping and inspiring, a true testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
When I hike in before I set up camp, I'm looking for water sources because I never carry water with me, only what I'm going to need on a hike in, and then I have a filter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know this area is thick with rattlesnakes. So I'm looking, as I'm walking, I'm scanning, keeping my eyes open. There was a water source maybe 1/10 of a mile from where I set up camp. So I walked back and I'm walking down to this little trickle of water and I'm looking, scanning back and forth, and I get to the water source, and I think, looking back on it now, I think I just let my guard down because I wasn't moving.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of it was I had done this like a couple years previous, and I had run into a dark color phase timber rattler,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize there was a yellow color phase that's more camouflaged. The dark color phase, it was in the vegetation, it just stuck out.
Right.
In fact, when I first saw it, I thought it was the cow pattern because that's what it looked like. It was coiled. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm like 4 miles up in the mountains, like there's no cows around here.
Sure.
And I realized it's a rattlesnake. So this time I'm looking for something dark, like dark gray, almost black colored and not camouflaged. And so when I had a water bladder with me, and when I was going to bend down and try to scoop the water up, and then I thought it'll be better if I just step over and let it run into the bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I step over the water, and as soon as my leg hits the ground, I see the snake head just coming straight up at my shin. And, it's like they say, it happened so quick before I even knew what happened. I must have jumped back. Luckily, the snake recoiled.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said, if that thing had been hanging on, I didn't like snakes before this happened.
Yeah, neither.
I said, if this thing would have been hanging on my leg, I probably would have taken my pistol out and blown my leg off trying to get this thing off my leg.
Right.
Then as we eased into archery season, we hosted Darren Snow, representing Raised at Full Draw youth camps. Darren's dedication to mentoring kids in archery and outdoor education reminded us of the importance of passing on these traditions. His work truly embodies the spirit of Tracks and Tackle and inspires us all to invest in the next generation of outdoorsmen and women. Describe for me what a camp looks like. Can you give us paint the picture for those that are watching or listening so that they can get an idea of what the Raised at Full Draw camp experience is?
Yeah, the camps are a Thursday noon until Sunday noon camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the ages, we say 11 to 17. It's really kind of 12 to 17. And part of the reason it's 12 to 17 is because we teach the bow hunter education course. For it to be valid in all 50 states, they have to be 12 years old. We also, if for kids that do not have their hunter ed, we also will cover that as well. So the kids will show up at noon. Camp setup starts typically on a Wednesday with our volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. But camp setup starts typically on a Wednesday. We'll be putting the 3D targets out. We'll be starting to do the different ranges. We have the static range that we have to get set up. There's tree stands that need to be set up. So the campers will shoot out of not only a ladder stand, but they'll also shoot out of a hang-on stand. And these are, we give them the 5-point harness. We teach them how to put it on properly and safely, how to properly set a tree stand, how to properly climb safely into tree stand, how to get comfortable. Most kids, when they first get into that tree stand, of course, you guys, if you guys were anything like me, you get up there and it doesn't matter if it's 12 feet off the ground, it seems like 40.
Right.
one
Yeah.
wrong shift too, and then climbers, you feel like you're going all the way down. It's like a mini heart attack. So
Yeah.
every first with those tree stands, it can be a little scary.
So we teach them all of the bow hunting education skills. So the first thing they do is when they come in, we size them up. Kids that want to bring their bows or have bows can bring them. Our trailer is set up to equip up to, I believe it's 39 kids with bows. So if you've never shot before, we will measure your draw length. We will set a bow up for you, and we will get you prepared to shoot your first arrow.
Raised at Full Draw will be hosting 3 youth camps in PA this year. June 11 through 13 at Millvale Sportsman's Club in Wexford, PA. June 19 through 22 at River Hill Retreat in Felton, PA. And June 26 through 29 at Hidden Valley Scout Reservation in Loysville, PA. I will post the link to learn more about these camps in the description of this episode. It's a great group to support. You can find them at raisedatfulldraw.com. In November, we had O.B. Lambright, VP of Arkansas Bow Hunters Association, join us to discuss urban bow hunts and advocacy for bow hunting access. What a great discussion where we covered everything from feeding the hungry to dog tracking. O.B. was a wonderful guest to the show.
Well, let's get into it, Otis. Why don't you just tell me a little bit about the Bow Hunters Association down there in Arkansas, how you got involved, and I'll let you just give the overview of that mission of that organization.
Yes, sir. Okay, so as I said, shooting the 3D tournaments, I got involved with the Arkansas Bow Hunters Association. They have the urban deer management. There's about 6 cities. We had 7. One of them broke off from us, I think a year or 2 ago. Hot Springs Village. I still hunt over there and everything, but getting into urban deer management, there's different cities will reach out to us. I'm coming into one of them right now. Russellville, Arkansas is one of our cities. But there's about 6 cities we still control the urban hunt zone. So if a city has a lot of deer auto collisions, and I went to Pope County, which is Russellville, I went to the Pope County dispatcher, 911 dispatcher, and got her to print me off deer auto collisions, and I marked every one of those where they were at. It's pretty interesting to see correlation of where these deer hit at, and the blocks of woods and hourglasses coming up, funnels coming across roads and stuff like that. But
right.
Anyway, these cities, if they have a lot of deer auto collisions, or if these nice subdivisions have a lot of landscape damage, they will reach out to Arkansas Bow Hunters Association. They have tried to, take tranquilizer guns and sterilize deer. That will never work. It costs about $1,500 a deer with man hours and all that kind of stuff. And as you can imagine, cops wondering, you have to, deer activity is a lot of times pretty high at night. So you'd be out there at nighttime with spotlights and tranquilizer guns, and the animosity there is toward a lot of police officers in this hour, which I appreciate. I appreciate law and order, but just saying that it could be a bad scenario. So the only real way to any city council all of them would agree to spay and neuter animals. You know what I'm saying? Spaying and neutering is awesome. You have to have some sort of way to control a population. The only way to control the population with a whitetail herd is euthanize. My little motto for my deal, licensed archery management, is sterilization by euthanasia. There's only one way to do it, man.
And being that it was November, we also talked internally about rut hunting strategies. All right, hey folks, welcome back to Tracks and Tackle. We're going old-fashioned here. Got the Hollywood Horse and the Arrow Eagle checking in from the cabin. Been spending November up here at camp, and we broke out the old microphones, and we're just kind of going old school here, just hanging out on a rainy night at the cabin. How you doing, Hollywood?
Doing good, man. It feels great to sit down on this nice, comfy love seat with my buddy here and, break out the camera equipment and, record a bit. But we got the wood stove going. It feels pretty good. I'm shedding some layers and finally starting to thaw out. It was a cold one this morning, so I know you had to work. I took some more time off, so I was actually up here a day before you. I had the wood stove going, let it burn out overnight because I wasn't going to be here, and worked my way to the top of the mountain where I froze. So you didn't really miss too much.
Yeah, not much to report back other than cold and windy.
Yeah, but November, it's here. You know, the rut's in, I would say, and we're just trying to spend as much time as we can out in these woods chasing the whitetails.
We wrapped up the month with a major announcement. Chris Bookman and Matt Mentzer had agreed to join Brady and I as intermittent co-hosts of the podcast moving forward. All right, guys. Well, listen, I know I've been teasing on social media and sort of been putting out there, we're going to be making an announcement. And the announcement is, obviously, Hollywood's not with us tonight. He's got some other stuff going on. He's dealing with some real life issues, and real life's always more important than anything else we do. He'll still be with us. He's going to continue to co-host. And frankly, I think that the episodes where he hosts and he's asking me questions, we probably get better numbers on people listening and stuff, but he'll still be with us. But because he's not able to be with us as often and on the nights from scheduling, Chris Bookman with 3B Outdoors is going to be stepping into a co-host role here with Tracks and Tackle, and we're going to sort of have a partnership between Mentzer Outdoors and 3B Outdoors coming together. And because we have this common interest, right? We advocate for getting outdoors. I say get outside, get the stink blown off of you.
Yeah.
We were sort of raised in that, all three of us here were raised in that vein. And so Chris is stepping up, and I've asked him to come on and sort of, he's been on the show a few times, and you have the time. And so I really appreciate you, stepping up to the plate and being willing to come on. And I know that you bring a wealth of experience and information, and you look at things maybe from a different perspective than I do. And so I'm really interested to the insights and the different takes that you'll have as we walk this out.
Absolutely, dude. Looking forward to it, man. It's an honor to be part of your tribe, bring our tribes together. So
That's it. You're part of the hunting family, and that's sort of like the way that it is with Matt and us. Matt and I grew up together. We're pretty much glued at the hip, as youngsters and until our, teenage years. And I grew up, I got married and moved to the next county over. And then we spent, I don't know, maybe a decade and a half, 15 years where, he started a family and, I've got my family, and we might have lived 30 minutes apart, but we just didn't hang out anymore. And here recent, we've reconnected, and, we're fighting for time to hang out together and for our families to know one another and things like that. So once you're on the show, you're part of the hunting family.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think you stopped at the house here one day, Ron, when you left your dad's, because I live next to I still live next to your dad, and my kids were like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "What? What do you mean you don't know who he is?" My son's 16, and my oldest daughter's 13, and I got an 11-year-old, and they're like, "Who's he?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, you don't know who he is? Like, we're doing something wrong here."
Yeah.
We screwed up. Like, you got to know who he is, because that was a big part of my childhood.
December brought us full circle with discussions on PA rifle opener and hunting traditions.
Yeah, opening day stories. I have a few. I made it to my spot. Archery season, I was seeing deer pretty consistently there. It seems like it's a crossing point. Archery, I had issues whether there's a bench a little bit below and then basically the peak of the ridge they walk. So I had to pick my poison and commit. And there was sits that around 11 o'clock I would relocate because I saw a deer there, and then I'd be kicking myself because I saw it where I just had my stand. So the whole time I'm just wishing that I had my gun. Well, got my gun now. I had them patterned at around 7, 8 o'clock, but I was sitting there, nothing came through, but I'm like, I know some point they're going to be coming through here. But ultimately too, I'm thinking, well, it's rifle. There's more people out, maybe they switched up their patterns, but around 9 o'clock, here comes the herd. It's around 7 to 9 does. I was able to get myself positioned, get ready. And my suit and I was in my tree stand. It is a little bit mobility to adjust, because if normally I'm hunting on the ground, I'm able to use my knee to prop my gun on, but I was able to stand up and prop my gun against a tree and, let the gun crack on a really accurate shot. And it's really nice, especially the terrain that we hunt, whenever you squeeze that trigger and you see legs in the air. So I knew I didn't have to worry about tracking.
And to cap off the year, we just had an amazing interview with Brian Farmer, representing the Hunt Michigan Collaborative. Brian's passion for uniting hunters in his region was a perfect way to end the year on a high note.
And when it comes to exploring these ideas that can maybe even help some other communities, that's what we've been able to do. And we're happy to be able to share these ideas and models to be able to help other communities be better and make a difference. So our community has been very supportive of some of the ideas I've had. And I didn't want to go small deer management either. I think we want to go big and really make a difference, not just in Michigan, but how do we take the same model that we've created and spread this across the country? And it's something that can really happen. And I'm excited about it.
It's been an incredible year of growth and networking for us in 2024. I want to thank everybody who's joined us along the way. And I want to talk now about 2025. This year marks an exciting evolution for the Tracks and Tackle podcast as our hosting team grows. Joining Brady and me this year as featured co-hosts are Chris from 3B Outdoors and Matt from Mentzer Outdoors. And I wouldn't put it past this crew to have some other co-hosts pop in along the way either. We'll be alternating our supporting cast this year as we progress. Some of the episodes will feature all of us diving into big group discussion, while others will spotlight just a couple of us. This setup gives us the flexibility to bring you a variety of perspectives and stories from different corners of the outdoor world. And different perspectives matter because that's why we do our guest interviews. Every time we bring a guest on the show, we're doing more than having just a conversation. We're growing our hunting family. These guests are people who love the outdoors as much as we do. They bring fresh perspectives, valuable knowledge, and incredible stories to the table. And by sharing their experiences, they inspire all of us to deepen our connection to nature and to one another. Our mission this year remains the same. It's to promote the outdoor lifestyle. It's to celebrate the traditions that bring us together and to encourage others to join us in exploring the wild places we cherish. As we close the chapter on 2024 and we open the books on 2025, I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this journey. Your passion, support, and enthusiasm for the outdoors are what makes Tracks and Tackle more than just a podcast. You've helped create a community, a hunting family, that's stronger than ever. Let's make 2025 another unforgettable year. Stay tuned, stay safe, and stay passionate about the outdoors. And remember, nature is our playground. If you've enjoyed the journey so far, don't forget to like, share, and comment on all of our content. Your feedback and engagement mean the world to us, and it actually helps grow our community. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and let's keep building this amazing hunting family together. Until next time, happy hunting, my friends, and stay wild.